Rarely has mankind hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find intelligent species, ritual extirpation, undesirable beings, odors from another world, the rest must be destroyed. Is it possible that our dark past might repeat itself? Watch them and pray.
Goo readings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, the hackers actively attempting to erase all of the U.S. student debt, and anyone who might be listening. This is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. I'm your host, Tasker, and we have Nick.
What up, bitches?
Yeah. So you're starting today off very, very sassy.
I'm feeling sassy. You want to know why I'm a little bit pissed off today? Do you want to know?
I'm curious.
Okay, I was at Target, right? Doing my thing. I like to go to Target on Sundays because all the people are at church and it's not busy, right? So I'd like to go chill. I like to hang out in the book section. No, I'm just kidding. I just like to go buy whatever. And I saw an end cap full of Razor scooters, right? And I was like, holy shit, how cool would it be to be an adult with a Razor scooter? And not only that, but they had a limited edition synthwave aesthetic one, which is one of my favorite aesthetics of all time. Very cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's got the grid, it's got the color schemes that you want in synthwave or retro wave, whatever you want to call it. But I picked up the box. I was like, damn, it's only $30. I could do this right now. Like, what, you know, I have a credit card for a reason, right? To make irresponsible purchases that I can't immediately pay back.
Of course.
But I looked at the box and it was the first time I've ever felt discriminated against because it said that it was only for people up to 143 pounds.
I mean, maybe they did you a favor because that'd be an ego hit to buy your Razor scooter. You do one jump, the whole thing just breaks apart. The little mechanism on the inside goes off. Be like, get a bigger one, fatty. And then you're just
fatty.
Like, it fucking makes fun of you the rest of your day. Hacks your fucking bank account, and now you're poor.
Yeah, well, now I'm poor. No, I've been poor, so that's fine.
Well, that sounds like something that could possibly ruin your day, huh?
It sucked, man. I really wanted to get that synthwave Razor scooter, and also why 143? That's a very specific number, you know.
Yeah, one could say maybe they tested it, or maybe it's just some marketing scheme. I don't know. Hard to say. But you know what's also, you know, if we're talking about things that bug us, you want to know what's been really bugging me lately?
What?
So there's this song on TikTok it's kind of like been there, done that. Like everyone's heard it already, but it's that one like where it's like that alt rock song where it's like, he spreads my cheeks and it makes me scream. Number one, daddy gonna make him cream inside of me.
Inside of me, just keep riding me.
Now, logically, there's an error there. So, okay, so breaking this down, spreads my cheek, gonna make him cream inside of me, but keep riding me. If he's the one riding him, technically he can't do the creaming inside of him because he is the one, he's not inside. So logically, that makes no sense.
Well, if we're looking at this from a homosexual standpoint, all right, which I think is what is implied in the song, that's
the beauty of that song is it's this fun alt rock song. You're like, oh wait, that's explicit gay sex. I see.
Now, here's my analysis of that part of the lyrics. He spread my cheeks, he makes me cream, or he makes me scream. And he wants him to cream inside of him. And then he says something about writing him, like to keep writing him as in the like narrator of the song, right?
Just keep writing me, right?
I believe, now I could be wrong, but I believe that writing, even though we look at it as being like an action performed by somebody on top, like let's say cowboy or cowgirl, right? Yeah. Position. I think that writing could be also referred to as just getting fucked. Like if you're like bareback. I could be wrong, but I think I've heard it referred to this way.
Let's see. I'm searching writings because normally it's like, you know, writing. I literally search writing sex position and it says one of the first big is woman on top, woman, which is fucking that's very not inclusive of the internet, by the way.
Yeah, but sexist much?
Yeah, what the fuck is that, right? But yeah, cowgirl or the writer, like. I don't know. I feel like riding implies that you're the one on top because when you're riding a horse, you know, which obviously is not sexual at all, the horse is the one underneath you. So I think the implication is that when you're riding that you're the one on top. So therefore
But if the narrator is on all fours getting doggy style fucked, and the guy's on top, he could be riding him like a horse from the top. You know what I mean? Because then he's on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think they're going for.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, I forgot that doggy style was a factor in this equation. So, anyways, transition. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about more Dahmer today. Before we get into that, though, let's get a quick vibe of how this episode might be going with the horoscope. I'll just pop mine in real quick if you don't mind.
Go for it, man.
In matters involving love and romance. Oh boy,
here we go.
Timing. The timing of what we just talked about with that. I mean, it could be romantic. I think it's a very romantic song if you really think about it.
It's very romantic. Look, no matter, even if they're talking
Passionate.
about creaming and riding and all this stuff and spreading cheeks, it's still sex, and that's a very intimate thing.
Well, it sounds like he's doing a good job. I mean, like, reward people when they deserve it is what I'm saying.
When I'm slurping him down, it's my favorite sound. He's into it.
Yeah, they're having a good time. I mean, why are we bashing this? And y'all being all like weird about it. Come on, you're fucking acting like you don't watch worse porn than that.
Yeah, come on, guys. That's vanilla shit. That whole song is vanilla compared to what Tasker and I used to watch, let's say.
Oh, yeah. People are so reactive. But, okay. In matters involving love and romance, things might get a little sticky today. God
Jesus Christ.
You might want to charge ahead with a plan while a close partner wants to sit, discuss, and work things out together. Tempers might flare. You might do well to be ready to compromise. A hot-headed approach will do more harm than good. I don't know if that's entirely true. I feel like things are pretty good.
Good, man. But hey, the day's not over yet. All right. So make sure just make sure that you tiptoe. Make sure you walk on eggshells.
Yeah, gotta check in, gotta be responsible. Make sure it goes smooth. Stars 3 out of 5 for sex, hustle 3 out of 5 for hustle, vibe 3 out of 5, and success is a 2 out of 5. So pretty average day.
Yeah, mine's not looking much better.
Oh, let's see.
Matters of the heart are in your favor today. You should prepare for a day full of social activities and good conversation. Your creative spirit may also be heightened. You can't go wrong picking the right item in a clothing store or flea market. Your taste for the elegant is impeccable, so feel free to indulge. Well, I already fucking tried, and I couldn't get the scooter. So
the vaporwaves. Wow, it's like they knew what we were talking about.
I'm just so pissed about that. Still, it's unfair.
Do not blame you. Do not blame you. And if that's the worst prejudice you've ever faced in your life, I'd say you're doing pretty good.
I am doing well, man, because I'm a handsome, straightish white male. So it's like
it's got all the luck you need.
Hey, good reference.
Yeah, AJJ, great band.
Stars, sex is a 3 out of 5. Hustle is a 3 out of 5. Vibe is 2 out of 5. And success is 2 out of 5.
Cool. All right. So it looks like we're on about the same wavelength, which is a good way of getting into this because, see, there's some little planning there. We had a really explicit conversation to warm your minds up to the very explicit episode we're about to have today.
Yeah. It probably happened unconsciously, but it was a very good primer for what we're going to talk about today. So we are continuing Jeffrey Dahmer, part 2, his story, the incidents that are following. We're picking right back up where we left off last time. And there is a lot more murder and butt stuff in this one. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was just a primer for you guys before.
Yeah. It's a horrible coincidence, but it ended up working out in its own weird way. And we're not one to shy away from the details. Cause if we're going in, we want to, it just seems unfair to censor certain parts of it just because it's a little out of some people's comfort zones.
Damn straight. And if anybody out there is waiting to listen to this series until it's completed, which I feel like some of you are, just know that we are doing a part 3 as the final one because there's a lot of information to go over for Jeffrey. So if you're waiting for all of them to come out, wait until part 3 is, and then that is the finale. All right. Just a heads up.
Yeah. It was originally just gonna be a 2-parter, but then you hit page almost 40 of the outline. You're like, this is looking like a Lord of the Rings extended edition, except it's a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So I just cut it in half. So that's part 2. And we'll have a good time today. we're going to continue our presentation. Now, when we left old Dahmer, all right, we can't call him old man Dahmer at this point because he's still like in his late 20s, but he had just committed his first murder, right? And that was the murder of young Steve Hicks, who was just on his way to a goddamn rock concert, and he just wanted some free booze before he went to go party, you know?
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, and as just a quick refresher, I believe it was he got bludgeoned with a weight and then strangled with said weight, and then Dahmer jerked off on his chest, and then he buried the body, then he unearthed the body, segmented it, and then melted it down with chemicals, right?
Yeah, man. It's just like a regular Saturday night, you know?
Just classic. Well, if you work at a butcher's, I mean, that's the context there. If you work at a butcher, that's totally okay, except for the acid part, because now it's inedible, and now you're just weird.
Yeah. I'm glad you skipped over the jerking off thing, though. I hope all my butchers jerk off on my meat.
I mean, hey, if you're coming in for protein, I want fucking protein.
Okay. Since this is a very semen heavy episode, can I bring up something?
Sure.
I had no fucking clue, no idea that, okay, I don't know much about the human body. All right. My knowledge of the human body stops here where the brain is. Everything below, nothing. All right. So I had no fucking idea that semen, which is sperm, right, are from the balls. That's what actually gets people pregnant. But I didn't know that seminal fluid, it comes from the prostate. It's like formed in the prostate. And then that's why they say masturbation and coming is good for your prostate as a man, because it keeps it regular or something like that. So so that most of the fluid actually comes from your fucking prostate when you come.
That makes a lot of sense, because I was kind of thinking about that, where it's like, we got these balls, but we never really, like, if you are a male, you know that your balls don't feel like there's anything in it. So it just seems weird to think that like semen's just like there, because, we got a good amount to like shoot off into the world, but it makes more sense that it's just filled with the sperm. And then when you jizz, that's when the shit from the prostate goes in and makes this like cocktail of human fertilizer that is known as semen.
It's weird. Isn't it really fucking weird to think about? Because I had no idea. To honestly, 20 something years into my life, and I thought that all of whatever came out of my wiener was just stored in the balls. Well, the left ball, because I know the right ball is technically for pee, right?
Yeah. Well, no. I actually heard pee comes from your bloodstream, actually.
Well, then
yeah, because after we process food, the energy and all that shit gets carried through our blood, and then what's left over is still in our blood, and then that's what gets pulled out and then becomes urine. And all the shit that wasn't able to be broken down to be put in our bloodstream, that's where you get shit, because it's what was solid and couldn't be fully broken down.
My God, the human body is a fucking night. It's a logistical nightmare.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like I know more about like frog anatomy from fucking high school bio than about my own.
Yeah, they never, dude. Okay, that's what bugs me. That's what really bugs me about like intermediate schools. Like, is like, yeah, I dissected a pig. Cool. Now, why wasn't there any like human physiology classes? Like, why? Like, I want to know more about me, not about a fetal pig or like an octopus.
Well, totally. The most we ever got was that one class where it's like teen issues, or like how like baby's first puberty class, and the one where I think we talked about this in an episode ago where the teacher was like really hot.
Dude, oh my God, in middle school. So we had, what was it? Teen issues? Is that what the class was
I think
called?
It was called teen issues. It was some variant of like teen problems, or everyone was required to take it because you have to do a class that teaches you how your body works. But that's like literally the extent of it. Like no other class like taught you anything, and like I said, you got a bunch of hormonal kids, and you got this teacher who's like slamming, and you're just
dude. Like, oh. And now let me explain. So like for most of the quarter, or whatever we used to call it back in middle school, we were learning different cool stuff, right? And then at the end, we were starting to get into sex and sexuality.
Right.
This whole time, people in the class were like, "Damn, this teacher's hot." You know what I mean? Like we would all be talking about it, and then. And then at the very end of the class, when we were talking about STDs and STIs, she drops a fucking bomb on us saying that she has genital herpes, and everybody's boner at once.
Oh, it's like there's this one thing forever ago. I think it was a he's like a YouTuber who plays games who always wears the chainmail. But he had like a panel where he had everybody crack their knuckles at once. It was just like if boner dropping could make a sound, boy, would it have reverberated through the whole room.
Yeah, that was I mean, not like I had a chance or anything, but that was very unfortunate day in our lives.
I mean, it sold the point. I mean, it really, everyone was like, oh shit, like it could happen to anyone. And I think it was very effective as a teaching strategy, but also it's the first time where you're just like, that was when the rap lyric "trust no bitch" really kind of made sense.
Dirty whore, you know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Very nice lady, very good at teaching. Anyway,
yeah, okay, maybe we might cut that out. I feel bad. I don't know. I doubt she'll ever listen to this, but
I don't even remember her name. I couldn't even tell you.
Oh, that's funny. That's good times.
Oh my god, yeah. So Jeffrey, our boy Jeff, just killed Steven, and we are fast forwarding a little bit.
We are, yes. So Stephen Hicks is dead, unfortunately, and the story now picks up 6 weeks later. So 6 weeks goes by, and Dahmer's murderous bachelor pad is no more because Lionel, as we'll remember, Jeff's father, and his new fiance move back into the house where they find him living by himself. So Dahmer's probably like, God damn it.
Yeah, just fucking, I have my space. I mean, best I can equivalent is like, one time my younger brother moved out to go to college, and I had been living at home because I went to community college, and I finally had my own room for the first time in my entire life. And then it didn't work out, and he moved back. I had like a whole room to myself for like all summer, and then it just got ripped away as soon as I got it. And boy, that shit's disappointing.
Yeah, man. And then just think about, and then add in the fact that you thought you would be able, you had like a murder dungeon that you could do whatever you wanted.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just found the way to get the best nut you've ever had in your life, and then now it's gone. So Jeff J-Dog is a little upset.
Little upset at this point. Now, once they moved into their old house, Lionel and his fiance, Jeffrey decided to enroll in Ohio State University and was looking to major in business. The catch-all degree. Trust me. Yep. I know. Anyway, he only participated in one semester while in university, but given his rampant and increasing alcohol use, you can imagine how well school went for him. Okay.
Which is funny because that just sounds like a normal business major to me. Yeah,
well, see, there's a cool drinking and networking, and then there's like this guy can't walk to class, you know?
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a very good distinction.
Now, he failed the following classes his first semester. Introduction to Anthropology, which is, come on, man. Anthropology's, once you start getting into the upper division classes, it's harder. But come on, intro. Come on.
It's like... It's easy A, I think. At least when I've taken stuff like it was pretty easy.
Yeah. Classical civilizations. I could see getting a C, but an F.
Yeah, yikes.
And administrative science. He failed that as well. Now, I don't know what that is. I looked it up. No clear answer on what administrative science is.
Yeah. Well, did he only have 3 classes? He didn't even have fucking 12 units. What a pussy.
No, now he took a 4th class. All right. Okay. So he did have 12 units, but this is the only class that he did well in. And now, surprisingly and unsurprisingly, this class was riflery, which is why doesn't my university have riflery?
Yeah, it's yeah, why don't we have a rifle class in America? Huh.
Interesting.
Oh god.
Now, he got a B- in this class, which is a huge deviation from his fails in the other classes. Now, the reason I say that this is both surprising and unsurprising is because it's unsurprising because if there's any class that Jeffrey Dahmer was going to get a good grade, it'd be shooting stuff, I would imagine.
Yeah, and even then B-. Like, I mean, yeah, it could be worse.
And then it's surprising to me, though, because he was fucking wasted all the time. So how the hell did he get a B- in riflery? If you just aiming down, like what? Like, is he just like fucking John Wayning it, like not looking and, you know?
Just a couple lucky shots in the range and you got your B-.
Good for him. Whatever, man. Yeah. So that's the one class that he did well in his first and only semester at Ohio State University. And his overall GPA for this semester was 0.45 out of 4.
What's your GPA? Oh, I got a 4.0. No, 0.4.
Yeah. I'm bringing like lower than 1 into this, and I can't even say I've done that. So that's
I got a 4.0 divided by 10. Good Lord.
Let's move that decimal place a couple points.
That was my brother. It was because he went to like a film school, and my favorite thing that he always says is how when he took the SAT, he didn't do super great on it. So I think it's like a perfect score is like a 2100, I think, and like a good score is like a 1600 or like 1700. I think it's like 1700 plus is like considered you did well. And so whenever it's like, oh, how'd you do on your SAT? It's like, well, do you remember when Columbus sailed the ocean blue?
Was it? I don't remember. 16 something, 14 something.
It rhymes. Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492.
1492.
That was cracking me up. But so Jeffrey, JDZ is not a great student.
No. And here's the sad thing is I think that if he wasn't drinking, he could be a good student because he shows initiative in some parts of his life. Clearly he can do well at riflery, but his fucking alcohol use was too strong and he just couldn't focus on anything else. And also, of course, the murderous urges and thoughts in his brain also didn't help.
Yeah, you think at this point, because I mean, he was already getting shit-faced 24/7 even before he killed somebody. But I almost feel like maybe he reinforces it even more by drinking more to forget that he fucking did it. Because that's the thing with a lot of serial killers is it's like they don't just wake up being like, man, fucking, I love killing. Sometimes they're just like, oh shit, I got this thing and I don't want to be this, but I am, so I'm just gonna drink to forget it.
And at first, for sure. Unfortunately, we'll see a decline in those defense mechanisms in good old Jeffrey Dahmer in a little bit here because he just kind of goes full force. So he kind of accepts his fate. We shouldn't laugh about that. It's sad.
No,
it's sad. We have to remember that these are real people who unfortunately perished and had terrible deaths at the hands of Jeffrey Dahmer. So.
Oh yeah, and that's so crazy, and I think that speaks a lot to human psychology of how much we process like horrific, like traumatizing events. Is this story almost feels like I feel like half the reason why we don't take it super seriously sometimes is because it's just so horrific and morbid and depraved that you almost can't. It's like your brain kind of naturally just treats it like a fictional story. Like it's crazy how that works.
Yeah, because most of us don't see shit like this in our day-to-day life. So it's so novel and it's like, it may as well be a movie to us and cognitively because it's like, holy crap, you know?
Yeah. It's been a while too. So that kind of adds to it.
Yeah. But, so Lionel was insisting that Jeffrey continue at OSU, hoping that things would change. So he paid for a second semester. But when that time rolled around, Jeffrey was like, fuck that, right? And he dropped out. So he only did that one semester at OSU.
Mm-hmm.
In January of 1979, Jeffrey obviously had no direction and was just kind of drinking all the time, as he does. So Lionel, kind of mad that he was laying around the house drinking and pretty much drinking himself to death at this point, he urged him to do something with his life. And he urged him to join the United States Army.
Oh, there's that riflery coming in handy.
I guess so, man. It was meant to be. Now, he did join, and Jeffrey trained as a medical specialist at Fort Sam Houston in Houston, Texas. Initially, if I remember correctly, he wanted a different job in the military, but they moved him to medical specialist, and he was not very interested in that, which is surprising because you think he would be.
I was gonna say, human body, being able to look at like blood and guts and like do something about it, like that sounds right up his alley.
So maybe he accepted it more with more grace than we think he did.
Possible, yeah.
After his training was completed on July 13th, 1979, Dahmer was deployed overseas to Baumholder, West Germany at the time. Remember, at the time, Germany was split into West and East, so he went to West Germany.
Right.
He was put into the 2nd Battalion, 68th Armored Regiment, 8th Infantry, 8th Infantry, 8th Infantry Division as a combat medic. During his first year of service in Germany, he was reported by his superiors as being an, quote, average or slightly above average, unquote, soldier. So he was fitting in at least well enough his first year.
Yeah. Okay. So he kind of hit the median.
Hit the medium, probably noticed his sick riflery skills, you know?
Yeah. Sounds like it was, for the first time, something was kind of working.
Yep. Now, he stayed in the Army for about 2 years, but unsurprisingly, in March of 1981, Dahmer was given an honorable discharge due to his quickly decreasing performance, of course, due to his alcoholism. And there are pictures that you can find online of Jeffrey in the Army in his off time, just fucking passed out passed out from drinking too much.
Dahmer in the Army. Images. Okay, there's him in his little uniform. Oh yeah, he looks drunk. Oh wow, he looks almost like he's like pale.
Yeah, he looks like almost dead.
Yeah, damn, that's fucking crazy. That's scary.
I was confused about this. I had to look into it a little bit. He got an honorable discharge for this. I would assume, I know nothing about the military, but I would assume that this would be a cause for a dishonorable discharge if you're just fucking wasted all the time.
Yeah, I don't know how that works.
They said, so the superiors said that his behaviors would not affect others in civilian life, so they gave him an honorable discharge. I don't know what that means, but I don't know much about the military. That was just the specific excuse that his superiors gave.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, I've always been confused about what is like honorable and what's dishonorable, because like I don't know. I don't know this. I know very little about the military.
Yeah, maybe somebody if one of our listeners in the military knows more about it, can let us know on social media. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta click out of this shit, dude. I'm like, I don't know if you saw the glass over on my eyes as I started just like getting into the hole that is Jeffrey Dahmer on Google Images.
Now, he was shipped from Germany to Fort Jackson in South Carolina, where he was debriefed before his discharge, and he was given a plane ticket to go pretty much anywhere he wanted to go. Apparently that's standard procedure. It's like, all right, you're fucking kicked out, but we'll get you a ticket to wherever you want to go.
Okay. That's cool.
So it's the least they could do, I guess.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey didn't want to go home and face his father's disappointment, naturally. So he went to Miami, Florida, the butthole of America, in an attempt to make it on his own.
Huh. That's kind of ballsy.
It is ballsy. See, like every once in a while, he'll show a little initiative, but then guess what? Good old fucking Mr. Jack Daniels has something else to say about that,
Yeah. Kind of has a different plan in mind.
Now, I should note here that in the same area of West Germany that Jeffrey was stationed at for his time there were 5 unsolved homicide cases in which involved mutilation of the bodies. It hasn't been confirmed to be Dahmer, but it's a little coincidental. Just fucking throwing that out there.
Yeah, there could be maybe at least one of them.
Yeah, especially if their dicks were sucked. We'll get into that later.
All right. I look forward to it.
So Jeffrey got to Miami and he got a job at a deli. And of course, he spent most of his earnings from this job on alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, he was evicted from the motel he was staying at due to not paying, and lived on the beach for a time while still... Sorry, man. I'm drinking club soda like a fucking... Well... like an elephant,
Yeah, that was
gassy.
It sounded like a elephant trumpet kind of thing.
So he got evicted from the motel and began living on the beach for some time while still maintaining his job at the deli. But of course, living on the beach gets old fucking quick,
Yeah, it's cold.
It's cold. It's cold, and you're in Miami, Florida, a beautiful place where you can walk on the beach with your loved one hand in hand and step on used needles as you go.
Yeah, get mugged as you now are positive for HIV.
Yeah. So a great place to live on the beach. So after a while, Jeffrey's like, "Fuck this," and he ended up calling his father to ask him if he could come back to Ohio and live with him in September of 1981. His father said yes, and only 2 weeks back to Ohio, living with his father and stepmother, Dahmer was arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct.
Oh, so the first one.
In this incident, Lionel tried to help get Jeffrey off the booze. Or I'm sorry, after this incident. So Lionel was like, okay, if you're going to live under this roof, you got to get your shit together. All right. No more drinking. And he tried his best to get him off the booze. He brought him to doctors. I think he got him a therapist, and he monitored his alcohol intake. But of course, to no avail. Like, Jeffrey always found a way, and he kept drinking.
Right.
In December of that same year, 1981, Lionel decided to send Jeff off to live with his grandmother in West Allis, Wisconsin. This is where we see the transition back to Wisconsin, and this is why he's also he's very connected to Wisconsin, is because as soon as he moves to Wisconsin, shit starts ramping up. Okay,
so this is the beginning of the end, huh?
Yes, absolutely. Lionel decided on this move for a couple reasons. Jeffrey's grandmother was the only person that he showed affection toward in the family, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And Lionel hoped that her positive influence on him and the change of scenery would help him get off the sauce and maybe find a stable job. So he probably didn't want to put up with Jeff anymore, but he also did it for some good reasons too.
Yeah, obviously it wasn't working. So he was just like, well, maybe that he needs something that he positively responds to versus me forcing him to do so. I think the logic's there. And also too, I think he was sick of his shit. So that's like, it's kind of a dual benefit there.
Yeah, I'd be sick of his shit too at this point. At this point, he's 21. Yeah, at this point he's 21. And well, I mean, I can't say much. I haven't really done much with my life either. At least I'm drunk all the time, though.
Yeah, and you haven't killed anybody, allegedly.
Hey, man, just don't. You know why you gotta out me like that on the podcast? You know what I mean?
I was nervous about it too. Did you hear me stutter?
Yeah, dude. I looked at you with fucking cold, dead eyes.
See, I can say that now because it's all long distance.
Not for long.
Yeah. Well, I know you just got a new pet rabbit, so I know you can't afford a plane ticket at least for another couple months.
That's true. Yeah, that's true, man. Oh, dude, Frederick. Dude,
Frederick's
Frederick's awesome.
We decided on.
Yeah, we named it Dr. Frederick. Dr. Frederick Fluffenstein is his full name, but we just call him Frederick. So
awesome. See, I thought you were gonna go with Frederick Douglass. I was like, dude, no, that's horrible.
Well, here I'll tell the listeners what I told you is so my new bunny is black and white, a very pretty coat, but he's black and white. So I told Tasker, I was like, Obama would be the perfect name, but that one didn't fly. So.
Context aside, I think Obama is a fantastic name for a pet. Like, I don't know. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go feed Obama. Oh, that sounds terrible. That came out really bad.
Dude, that's fucked, man. You're a racist, dog.
Nah, dog. Nah. Okay, so.
All right, back to it. So, at first, all was going well at Granny Dahmer's house. They were getting along with each other. He followed most of her house rules, except for, of course, being drunk all the time. He willingly did chores for her, and he even accompanied her to church on Sundays.
Okay, so there is some positive change here.
Right? There was another chance, possibly. There was another chance that Granny could come through.
Right.
So initially, all of this was great for him, and he got a job as a phlebotomist at the Milwaukee Blood Plasma Center. Well, that is, he worked there for 10 years, good Lord. It's fucking 10 months before being fired for, being drunk on the job. And when you're a phlebotomist, you don't want somebody with a needle who just clearly drank a fifth of vodka aiming for your veins. You know what I mean?
When your nurse staggers in, you see they're obviously trying to pretend they're not drunk.
Can you roll up your sleeve for me real quick?
Fucking like knock over some shit. Oh, sorry, that's just it's built to do that. Like,
don't worry. Yeah, it's just a hazard bin, but they just put the hazard on there just to be safe. Yes.
Oh, I'm fine. And you didn't ask if they were fine. They just start saying it.
So over the next 2 years, just as a general aside here, Jeffrey would remain unemployed and would only get money through his grandmother. Basically like a little Jeffrey Dahmer allowance that he got as a 23 to 24-year-old.
Oof. All right. Well, at least when we were 21, we actually worked.
Yeah. At 21, we were working 3 jobs. So
yeah, no, we were working a lot.
Not only after nah, dude, I cannot talk today.
Happens to the best of us. It's all that soda water.
Dude, I love this. Okay, because y'all out there know I like my sparkling water, right? But club soda, this is the shit because it's like extra carbonated, dude. It's very spicy.
That's spicy water, man. That's where it's at.
That's where it's at, man. And it gives you fucking burps. Like if you lay down and drink a bunch of club soda and then you stand up, it just unleashes this unholy amount of fucking gas out of your mouth. It's awesome.
There's something really cathartic about it too. I don't really get it, but hey, I ain't complaining. It's also not terrible for you because it's just water.
It's just water, man. And it's just water. And when you're on like a keto or carnivore diet, this is pretty much all you got.
Yeah,
you know?
Dude, sparkling water is like the ultimate like way to break off of like addiction because it's just something distracting. I mean, like, I don't know if it's the same if you're like addicted to like fucking like crack or something, but it helps.
There was a time in my life right before we started the podcast, or maybe about 6 months before we started the podcast, where I was drinking, and you know this, I've talked to you about this, where I was drinking a lot every night. Multiple whiskeys every night. It hadn't gotten to the point where I was drinking during the day, but it was I was teetering, you know? And I was like, fuck this, I gotta shape up. So what I did was I eventually only allowed myself to drink on the weekends, a rule I still abide by. Mm-hmm. And by weekends, I mean Friday night too.
Of course.
Oh God. And
Weird.
I replaced my weeknight drinking binges with a bunch of sparkling water, and it actually helped a lot. Like, it was very difficult, but it was a good tool.
Yeah, it's always the first week is always the hardest. Because I know I've had different bouts of trying to cut back on like drinking, and because it's the hard thing is the routine of it, and the other hard thing is the relying on it to sleep. I think that's a really tough one to kind of get over because you have to rewire your whole system. Now, fucking Dahmer just knew about fucking sparkling water. Maybe we could have had a different ending to this story.
We wouldn't be in this mess, man.
Mm-hmm.
He maybe because this started way back, dude. His drinking and his like thoughts like this. So like, if he just fucking bought some goddamn LaCroix, right?
Yeah.
And just, I don't know if they had that back then. It's a Pellegrino, and it just was like, oh man, this is pretty good. I could drink this instead of scotch at school, you know, like a normal fucking kid. And then maybe he could have had the ability to like see a therapist, and maybe none of this would have happened, dude.
Yeah. See, and everyone shits on LaCroix, but it's like, hey, you guys are all missing out on the ultimate cure of like most poisons in the world.
I love LaCroix. Oh my God, I love it, dude. They're so good.
Yeah, that's what I used to. I was really, I mean, and it sounds silly when I say it, but it's a real thing. I was super addicted to soda, like real ass, full sugar, everything. I was hella addicted to it. And then after that, I started getting really addicted to like diet shit and stuff. Like, and then I hit a point of like, I need to stop. This shit is like not great for me. And LaCroix was perfect because it's like drinking a soda, and also you can have as much of it as you want because it's fucking water. Like,
it's water with natural flavors too. That's why I like LaCroix. Is they use natural flavoring. They don't use like, you know, syrups and shit.
Well, people look at it from the wrong end. I look at LaCroix as, okay, it's either just plain sparkling water or LaCroix, which at least has a little something to it. But people look on it from the other angle of like, oh, I could have this super tasty beverage, or I could get LaCroix, which tastes like a Skittle dissolved in a glass of water, which is kind of true. Yeah. But you know, you're looking at it from the wrong angle. And when you're fucking, you know, your taste buds are just so oversaturated with the level of sugar that comes in a fucking regular can of Coke. Like, yeah, everything that doesn't have 60 grams of sugar, and it's going to taste like shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, you got to flip your perspective and be like, hey, it could be worse. Mm-hmm. You know, it could be a lot worse.
Could be a lot worse.
All right. So enough about sparkling water, as much as I love that shit. Not long after being fired from the plasma center, Jeff had another run-in with the law. He was arrested for indecent exposure when at the Wisconsin State Fair Park, where he exposed himself to a group of about 25 people, which included children, which is not a good thing to do.
Ooh, yeah,
even in the 80s, you can't get away with that.
Yeah, even in the 80s. That's a good emphasis there. That just reminds me of that one. It was like some like comedy shows where it's like this magician where he's like, now certain magicians have put their lives at risk and their limbs, But today, if I get this wrong, this machine will like pull my pants down, exposing myself to this classroom of kindergartners. So if I fail, I no longer risk death. I risk becoming a registered sex offender. Oh my God. Horrible.
Then in January of 1985, Dahmer got a job at the Milwaukee Ambrosia Chocolate Factory as a mixer.
Oh.
And he liked that job. He worked Sunday through Friday, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. He worked the graveyard shift. And he really liked that job because it freed up his Saturday. He felt productive. He was making money for alcohol, and it was the overnight shift. From the things that I've looked at in the past, serial killers kind of like to be awake at night.
Ah, interesting. So it was just perfect for him. He could just be drunk. The job was easy. It required minimal effort, and he could just ball out, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Crazy. By the way, Ambrosia chocolate does still exist.
Holy shit. I wonder if they get people that visit him just for Jeffrey Dahmer.
I'm sure, and I bet they fucking hate it.
Yeah. Can you imagine being like a oh, look at us, we make chocolates, yeah, we make chocolates, but then being connected with fucking one of the worst serial killers of all time.
Oh man, I bet you there's always that one sweaty kid at the fucking the tours of the factory, which they probably stopped doing because of all that bullshit, being like, so where did Dahmer work? Like, where did you do the mixing, bro?
Hey, can I taste some of the chocolate out of the one that he mixed with?
Yeah, is his semen stain still in the corner?
Not long after obtaining this job, Dahmer was at the public library, and a note was given to him by a man offering to suck him off.
Wow. Well, getting lucky.
Getting lucky, buddy. Now, weirdly enough, Jeffrey declined the offer, but it did spur up desires that he was probably trying to suppress at the time. He started thinking more and more again about that dominating, controlling sexual encounter with another man, something that I think he was trying to put off.
So he'd been basically repressing that then for a couple years, and all it took was that one reminder. Kind of like it's like, you don't remember that, like, we have those days where it's just like everything's fine, and you remember that one super fucking humiliating thing that happened to you years ago, and you're like, great, cool, now I'm just gonna be depressed for like a week now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, but like, you know, horrible murderous urges.
Yeah, so that guy sucks. Not like in metaphor, you know what I mean?
Both ways, in both ways.
At this time, he began to kind of troll around the Milwaukee gay scene. He started exploring a little bit more because he started having these urges. You know, gay bars, gay bathhouses. And now I think it's interesting they said gay bathhouses, because I think when you say bathhouse, it's kind of implied that it's a gay thing. All right.
Well, it's not a gay thing inherently, but it's
pretty gay, man. It's pretty homosexual.
You grew up in fucking California. That's why it seems gay. Every other place in the world doesn't give a flying fuck about that. I mean, shit, dude. What is it, back in like swim team? Like, dude, we all fucking changed in the lockers together.
That's different. That's 100% different. A bathhouse is a place where grown men come and take baths together. Okay, and then come. It is literally the gayest. It's one of the gayest, and I'm sure that our LGBTQ ABC plus whatever community listeners will back me up on this. Bathhouses are one of the gayest places that you could go to meet men.
You're saying that's not true. I think by you saying men bathing together is it's painting the picture of you go in and a bunch of strangers be like, oh, hey, need help cleaning your balls, and everyone's like making out and
that's kind of what happens in there.
It's not. You go in, you mind your business, you don't look at their balls, you fucking do your thing, and you leave. And you know why people go to bathhouses is because they got fucking great systems. It's fucking good water. They got shampoo and shit. It's just a spa day, except you're the one doing the cleaning on yourself.
I think
for people who can afford it.
I think you're confusing bathhouses with either gym showers or spa places.
I don't think bathhouses are gay hookup spots. Bro, I mean, I'm sure there's people who could use it that way, but that's not the reason they're there.
No, that's not the reason. But they are a gay. It's just, and now it is inherent. When you think bathhouse, you think of middle-aged men sucking each other off.
That's not what anybody thinks about when they see. Are you just trying to trigger me? You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?
No, I swear. The origins of bathhouses were in ancient Greece. Do you know what they would do in ancient Greece at bathhouses? They would fuck each other. The men and the boys.
I think that's a fallacied argument. I think a bathhouse is a simple utility that people use because they can't afford, because maybe they don't have a bath. It's like going to the fucking YMCA. It's like using the gym shower.
God, did you just bring up the YMCA? That's also a very gay thing, dude. Are you serious? The whole song YMCA by the Village People is about hooking up with dudes at the YMCA. It is a well-known gay thing.
Well, I'll say I'll call this an impasse right now, but for those of you listening in the LGBTQ plus community, if I'm wrong, let me know. I don't think that's the case, but I could be. I don't know. So we'll agree.
I'm all for it. I don't want to come off as hostile towards bathhouses. I just want the point to be across that it's a very homosexual activity. Well, and I think, okay, if we Google it later, I'm telling you guys, dude, you can find some. Just look up bathhouses. Are gay? ? Okay,
I'm literally typing in, are bathhouses gay? A gay bathhouse, also known as a gay sauna. God damn it! So there are such things as gay bathhouse. So
they love that shit. It's like free pickings for them, dude.
Okay, so there's such a thing as a gay bathhouse, as there is a gay bar. Okay, I can sink my teeth into that. Okay, that's fair. But I think saying every bathhouse is a place for gay folks to catch up or hook up. I don't know about that.
I implore any of our listeners to show me one straight one. Like one, I implore.
Oh my God. Maybe not in
or not
America.
Not straight, but just like one where people go there and actually just take baths.
Yeah,
like I implore you. No, there is the walls, the floors, inside the tubs, the toilets covered in semen, and all of these bathhouses.
Okay, so if it's a specific bathhouse set up to be okay, so here, look, Wikipedia. A gay bathhouse, also known as a gay sauna or a gay steam bath, is a commercial space for men to have sex with other men. In gay slang, a bathhouse might just be called the baths, the sauna, or the tubs. In general, a gay bath is used for having sexual activity rather than only bathing.
Right.
So I think when there's a specific one set up, just like how with like a love hotel, those are made to have sex in. Yes. But there are also many more bathhouses that are just for bathing. Like think of like an onsen over in I think that's how you pronounce it, in Japan, where people use that shit all the time because their fucking houses are so small.
I'm talking about America, baby. I'm not talking. Japan's got weird shit going on. All right, they have like places for everything. I would not be surprised if they have normal bathhouses there. And plus, people are so ashamed of their genitals over there. I doubt anybody's having sex in them. Now, I'm talking about America. First of all, bathhouses don't seem to be very common in America, and when they are around, that is a hub for gay sex. Hub.
So the point being is that in America, a bathhouse is pretty much the chance of you finding one that's just a bathhouse in America. The chances of that is almost next to none. Like we got spas, but we do not do public bathhouses. So when you do see a public bathhouse in America, statistically, or at least in the United States, statistically, it's more likely to be a gay bathhouse than it is just a standard bathhouse to take a bath.
Yes. If I was to walk into a bathhouse, any bathhouse in America, I would be like a piece of raw chicken dumped into a tank full of piranhas.
Okay, I can see your point of view now. So that does make sense. In the United States, yeah, we do not like our bathhouses, and so when you do see them, there's a high chance it might just be a place for sex, and
which is fine. I'm not bashing it. I think it's groovy.
Yeah.
You guys find a place to have sex. I don't give a fuck. I might even visit to observe one day. I don't know.
To dip your toes in it, one could say. But okay, all right, fine. I will give this the eye roll. Okay. ...
I feel like that was one of the best conversations we've ever had. I feel like that was very insightful.
I think it was very informed. I learned something. I thought you were just being a dick, but no, like you're probably you're a little right. I'll give
Thank
you
you. I'll take it, bro. I'll take it.
Yeah. But that's in the United States. Other cultures, they kind of got there's other cultures out there where that's not a thing at all. But I think the United States has proven time and time again to be an outlier in certain situations, and that's not a positive remark.
No. What are you saying, that gay people are a negative outlier?
No, I'm just saying that we have to take the term bathhouse and make it into like a explicit gay sex thing instead of just like a whatever thing.
Hey, sounds like a good time. I mean, it's literal. Okay, we'll get a little bit more into bathhouse culture, just a little bit more into bathhouse culture here in a second.
Yeah, am I just doing like the white person thing and like trying to defend people who don't need it?
Maybe. We just talked about this last episode, man.
Yeah,
you can't don't white knight for them. Only let them be mad about it.
I think what the fuck? How did I end up in the wrong on this one?
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, we're both pretty liberal, right?
Yeah. Oh no, I think it's just because I think it was a topic that I thought you were just being a dick about it, and then it ended up actually being a thing. And then I started white knighting because it's just normally I'm just, I don't know, whenever we argue, I get into the implication of like you have to be fucking wrong. There's just no way. There's no way you're right about this.
That's a fair assumption.
I mean, we've been doing this for fucking how long?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah. So old habits die hard, man. But I'm growing. I'm learning.
You're all growing, and you're growing under your pants as we talked about bathhouses, and we will continue to do so.
Oh yeah, well, dude, I just finally gave up on No Nut November, so now it's just like I feel like a functioning man again.
Attaboy. I gave up 4 days in.
Which is, not the worst.
So, like we were saying before that argument broke out, he was starting to really explore the gay scene because of these recently repressed urges coming to the surface after that note was given to him.
Right.
So again, bars, bathhouses, even bookstores around Milwaukee that were known to be like secret hookup place, not hookup, but like where you would go and like meet other gay dudes. Like you wouldn't have sex in like the philosophy section, but like you'll meet them in the philosophy section and then like go get a hotel or something.
Gotcha.
So he was hanging out at these places, starting to explore a little bit. And at one point around this period, Dahmer ended up stealing a male mannequin from a department store and brought it back to his room at Granny's house. And he used it for quote unquote sexual stimulation, AKA a primitive sex doll.
Oh, primitive sex doll is just such a disturbing phrase.
It's like a piece of wood with like a face drawn on it, you know?
Well, yeah, because it could literally be anything. And primitive implies that you're not good at making it.
A sex doll could be anything that you find sexually attractive. So if you're sexually attracted to like telephone cables,
yeah.
Well, I guess you don't need a sex doll at that point, but
yeah, it's true. There's much cheaper options there.
Yeah, you just kind of wrap the cord around your dick. I don't know.
Yeah, some people that sounds like the best. It's easy to get off. You just need a telephone cable and good job.
Yeah, and maybe if you're feeling adventurous, you could take some of the insulation off and let it shock you a little bit.
Ooh, spicy. God damn it.
Now, that is until Granny found the mannequin in his closet and fucking made Jeff get rid of it because she's like, yeah, no.
Yeah, we're not doing this.
Because this is like the mid 80s in like rural Wisconsin. And she's like, oh, Jesus, Jeffrey, what in the hell is that? Oh, my God. Is that semen on there, Jeffrey? Oh.
And it's a very distinctly male mannequin too. And I know because this is back then where, being gay was still like extremely frowned upon, right?
Totally. And the AIDS epidemic was going to start in a couple years. So that was definitely not going to help him in his like kind of like sociocultural adaptation of being gay. You know what I mean?
Damn shit.
Oh my God.
Sparkling water.
So good. In late 1985, he was becoming quite successful in finding sexual partners at gay bathhouses. Because if you guys don't know, which you probably do, Jeffrey wasn't the worst looking guy around. Okay.
Yeah, he was creepy. Like, we see a lot of the images of him when he's like, after being fucking arrested for what we'll talk about later on, which, he definitely looks like a fucking creepy serial killer. But like, if you look at more like candid photos of him and stuff like that, like, dude, he looks like he could be a pretty charming guy when he's actually smiling and isn't like shit face blackout.
Yeah. He was tall-ish, he was fairly muscular for 80s standards. He got blonde hair. He was a pretty good looking guy. So he was successful at finding gay partners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he would say that he was frustrated by these sexual encounters that he had at gay bathhouses because the other guy would, he'd be moving around. Don't you just hate that, right? When you're having sex with somebody and they're just moving like they're alive.
What a piece of shit. How could they?
That's disgusting.
What a waste of time for everybody.
So this revelation really led to a point of no return, in my opinion. So
yeah, this is the switch.
This is a big switch in the story, in my opinion. To ease his frustrations, after many of these encounters where he was just like, God damn it, why are they moving? Right? In 1986, he began to drug his to-be sexual partners in order to make them not move. He would lace their alcohol with either sedatives and or hypnotics.
And what frightening, like, progress into murder this becomes. Like, it's all there. And how I know we've talked about this on the show before about like allowances and like how it's like that's why you don't jerk off at work, because now you've crossed a threshold that you can't really go back from. And like it's really creepy to see very clearly in the pattern of what he's doing, from like I'm just gonna start having gay sex, I'm just gonna start drugging them because I don't like it when they move. And we'll come to find out it builds and builds, and it's not much of a spoiler because, as we know, he eventually starts killing them.
Yeah. It's so this was not a good, like, he's already committed murder, but it seemed like he tried to really push these urges down. He tried drinking them away, and unfortunately, after that note, it just fucking went downhill, man.
Yeah, well, that's what's scary about it, is seeing that he did try to not be this monster that he became. That's, I think, almost scarier than him just being a pure evil piece of shit.
And yeah, he and we'll get into this more on the last episode, but he is very regretful, of course. A lot of serial killers, when you see them in their court hearings, they're either completely narcissistic, or at least showing like narcissistic traits, or they're like, fuck you, they're like, I don't give a shit. Yeah, I killed your daughter. What do you want to do about it? Yeah. Dahmer is seen by many as and I use this term very, very liberally, a sympathetic, or conservatively, I'm sorry, a sympathetic serial killer because he clearly had issues. He clearly tried to not fall into this trap that he thought that he was pretty much destined to fall into without any intervention. And it's sad in a way, because I think without the alcoholism, and I think with proper intervention, something could have happened to help him out and also prevent all the subsequent murders,
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird because we don't really want to sympathize with him, because what he did was fucking terrible, but like, and frightening and ghastly, and a real shocking look into the darkness that is mankind every now and again. But like, damn, dude, it was just like you said, normally they just full sail with it of just like, fuck you, I'll kill you next or whatever. But him, it was just really the only one, like you said, we'll talk about this more later, but like, who was like, I didn't want to have to do this, and but I couldn't fucking help it. And I wanted to, but I knew it was bad, and I did it anyways because I couldn't repress it anymore. And as we'll come to find, dude, repression is so fucking real, dude. Like, that stuff is like, it is insane, like what like repression can do to you, and like what it can make you become if you don't deal with it. So as we'll find out.
Absolutely. So once his man, right, but I mean, like any man that he would entice sex with at the bathhouse would be out like a fucking bad light bulb, after like getting drugged.
Yeah.
He would have his way with them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now I should mention that this was happening at the bathhouses. Okay, he was drugging them and having sex with, or I should just say raping them at the bathhouses. Okay. He wasn't like meeting them at the bathhouses and then bringing them over. No, he was like doing it like there. That's fucking ballsy.
That's frighteningly ballsy. Like, yeah, it's right. Because he's basically like almost in public.
Okay, and now here's the sad thing. Here's a really fucking sad piece of the story. It's not like nobody knew about this. Okay.
Oh, shit.
The people he did it to obviously knew what had happened to them. And he was reported. And after 12 incidents of this behavior, the bathhouse management finally thought, hey, maybe we should take Jeffrey's membership away. It took 12 reports of this behavior for that to happen.
Oh my God. That shit's fucking scary. There was this huge, they had a huge bust on it finally, but I think it was in Orange County. There was a bar where they would have like a roofie or pill or whatever they'd have, and they'd sit down at the bar, they'd order a drink, and then would tip the bartender, who would take the tip and would put the pill for you in the drink of the person that you chose. Like, it was like they had a whole system for it, and eventually they found out and the whole thing got cracked down on. And it's fucking, dude, it's scary going out.
It is. That's disgusting, man. That's fucking absolutely deplorable. That the bartender and the bar management would be in on that shit. That's terrible, dude.
Took money for it. Made a lot of money doing it, actually. And that's like, it's almost kind of like a small human trafficking operation, basically. And like, Orange County actually has I think it has some of the highest rate of like drugging and like that kind of stuff, like in fucking in like California. Like, it's
Jesus.
Really fucking scary. And that's why I'm glad they have those things now where it's like you could put it over your drink, so nobody can really drop anything in. You just have like a straw in there, or there's something where you can test the drink if there's anything in it. But I don't know, man. I think it's just cheaper to just buy a bottle and hang out with your friends that you trust.
Yeah. And plus, I don't like being in places with a bunch of people, so I don't like going to bars anyway. And plus, who would roofie me? You know what I mean? Like, who would want to roofie me? Nobody.
Not that you know of.
That's true. There's always somebody.
Yeah, there's always exceptions anywhere. We got 2 billion people on this planet.
2 billion?
I don't know how true that is. Let me see.
We got 7.8 or 7.9, I think, the last I checked.
7.7 billion.
I was close.
Okay. We just want to make sure we're accurate.
Yeah, we want to make sure, because guys, believe it or not, on these episodes we have to say what Tasker would consider to be factual. We have to give information that has been a consensus has been drawn that it is true.
Oh yeah, because we're talking about something that actually happened, confirmed on paper by science.
And I won't say that this didn't happen, because this happened. All right. But when we start talking about like I don't know, dude. We'll save that for another episode. I'm not going to get into hot water right now. I am reading a book called A Man's Search for Meaning.
Uh-huh.
Okay. About this guy Viktor Frankl's experiences in the Holocaust.
Right.
Starting to think it happened.
Yeah, I think you're on a good path, and I'm gonna leave you to continue walking on it.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So after 12 reports of this fucking rape, basically just rape, he finally got his membership revoked, and he would then take to meeting men elsewhere and then bringing them back to hotel rooms in order to continue his practice of drugging and raping these people.
Yeah.
His desire for necrophilia was becoming stronger, as right after he was kicked from the bathhouse, he read an obituary for an 18-year-old man who had recently died, and it was basically like an open invitation to his burial. Yes, Dahmer said that he literally attempted to dig up the body of the young man after the burial, but to do stuff to it, but he found that the soil was too hard and he could not get through. But he literally attempted to dig up a body and have sex with it.
Yeah. Now we're kind of getting into the circle of like, we're kind of starting to see Dahmer as less human at this point, because now he's kind of like, he's now officially off the deep end. Like there's like we were saying before, it feels kind of weird to sympathize with a fucking serial killer, but like there is a point when we could understand a little bit what's going on, but now we're kind of at the point of like, oh, I have no fucking clue like what the fuck is going on with this guy.
Yeah. That point is now past us, and from this point onward, like he's just a monster, dude. He's just like, yeah,
fucking evil. No,
his behavior up to this point was no return because he kept pushing boundaries, as Tasker and I have been talking about. On September 8th, 1986, Dahmer was arrested for jerking off in front of some 12-year-old boys by the Kinnickinnick River.
Yeah, I'll say that's fine.
Oh my God!
Not the jerking off, the name.
Oh, okay. I was like, good Lord, man, you Californian liberals are really taking it to the next level, huh?
Oh God, yeah. That was a very important distinction to make right there.
I think Wisconsin needs to start working on their location names. I think they got to start making some, like what happened to, what about Wisconsin River? There's like Missouri River.
Do you know why they have such like names like that?
Because Native Americans.
Yeah, because
and now they're all on reservations, so it doesn't fucking matter anymore. We'll just name it whatever we want.
Let's just add insult to injury and just fucking rip out their culture. Why not? Why don't we, huh?
Yeah. What? You know what? Yeah. Why don't we?
Oh my fucking God.
Just kidding.
I feel like you're the meanest to Native Americans for some reason.
I don't know why that is. I got to think about that. I'm not sure.
Gotta do some internal reflection to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I'm probably employing some kind of defense mechanism. I'm not sure what it is. I'll figure it out, though. So at first, he said that he was simply urinating by the river and didn't know that there were other people around.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, he ended up admitting to jerking off in front of them on purpose. So
okay.
For this act, Dahmer was sentenced to 1 year of probation, and he was also required to go to counseling on and this sentence took place on March 10th, 1987.
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Well, and also the American prison system is not like, it's not built for rehabilitation. It's built to fucking, we don't need it. You can just listen to the prison system by System of a Down. You'll kind of see the opinions on that.
Yeah. Okay, people. Now, at this point in the story, we are going to fast forward a bit to the end of 1987. And from here on out, it's just Murder City. Okay?
Yeah. So he's already over the edge. He's already doing basically unforgivable shit. But now now we're going to start to see some loss of life.
Yes. So at this point in the timeline, Dahmer was still living with his grandmother. November 20th, 1987, Dahmer met a man named Stephen Tuomi at a gay bar. He talked with Stephen into going back to his room at the Ambassador Hotel in Milwaukee with him for some late night fornication.
Mm-hmm.
Dahmer was stated, I can't read today. Good Lord. Okay, let's cut that out. Oh my God. Dahmer has stated that he had no intention of killing Tuomi that night. He only wanted, well, I shouldn't say only, but that compared to murder, this is what he only wanted to do. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
He wanted to drug him and have his way with his body as he was unconscious. But of course it did not play out that way. In the morning, after they'd spent the night together, Dahmer woke up to see Stephen lying beneath him, covered in bruises. His chest was crushed in, and blood was coming out of the corners of his mouth, and he was unresponsive. Jeffrey's hands and arms were covered in blood and bruises, and it wasn't his blood. It was Tuomi's blood. He had no recollection of what the hell happened. But of course, Tuomi was dead. Jeffrey panicked, and he went out and bought a huge suitcase and put Stephen's body inside of it, and then brought it back to his grandmother's house. 1 week later, he cut everything off of the torso. Arms, legs, head. He filleted them. He filleted the flesh from the bones, as he had done before, and then cut that flesh up into little pieces. The flesh he put into garbage bags, and the bones he wrapped up in towels and smashed with a sledgehammer, trying to pulverize them. It's said that this whole dismemberment process took 2 hours. Okay? Now, I've never dismembered a body before, but that seems pretty damn quick to me, okay?
I was about to say, that's frighteningly fast.
If I can fully take apart a human body and turn it into pieces so small that they are unrecognizable within the runtime of any Lord of the Rings movie, that's impressive.
Yeah, like I said, scary.
Anyway, he put all of Stephen's remains into the trash, except for the head, and this will become something that we'll see time and time again. For an entire 2 weeks after the murder of Stephen Tuomi, Dahmer kept his head wrapped in a blanket. He then boiled the head in a mixture of Soilex and bleach in order to both strip the remaining flesh and bleach the skull. He then used the skull as, and now this is the phrase I came up with, but my research had other phrases. I think this was the most accurate. He used the skull as a quote unquote masturbatory aid. Okay.
I see.
So he would basically perform like Hamlet, but jerk off at the same time.
Yeah. Creative, but not in a good way.
But after some time, the skull became very brittle due to the bleaching process. So Dahmer crushed it with a sledgehammer like he did with the rest of the skeleton previously and disposed of it.
Man, fucking not just evil, but just fucking disrespectful too.
Playing with his food, man.
Ugh.
So after this whole situation and good Lord, I was fucking drunk when I wrote this outline.
No fucking articles, no transitional terms, nothing.
Look at this sentence. After this whole situation, murder and situation.
Yeah, I mean, you really emphasize what needs to be emphasized.
Okay, let me do some improvisation right here. Okay, after this whole situation and murder of Stephen Tuomi, Dahmer must have liked it because he began to actively seek out victims. At this point, he was done trying to repress it. He was accepting what he was becoming, and he now was ready to look for more people to kill.
And how crazy that it was an accident. Like, what he was doing was still pretty fucked and wrong and horrible, and he already is an irredeemable piece of shit. But, like, the fucking murder thing, I mean, realistically, it probably would have come to that eventually, but, like, it expedited the whole thing, and he was blackout drunk and doesn't even remember doing it.
Yep.
Crazy.
And if you guys want to look it up on YouTube, if you're listening, you can find the footage from Ambassador Hotel of Dahmer and Tuomi walking to the room.
Ooh. Oh, man, that's super scary.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So moving forward for the next few murders, just a heads up, Jeffrey's MO would be to lure men or boys back to his grandmother's home and drug them with hypnotics and or depressants, strangle them to death once drugged, and then do what he wanted with their bodies, as we will see. Okay, there's a very similar pattern that his preceding like murders definitely follow.
Yeah, he developed a system and it worked, so he kept doing it.
Yeah. So, just 2 months after Tuomi's murder at the Ambassador Hotel, Dahmer came into contact with a young Native American boy, 14 years old, who was a male prostitute named James Doxtator? How would you pronounce that? Doxtator?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay, I was going to make a joke. Not making that joke. This is a real victim.
Not the greatest time.
Okay, I will hold back. I am growing. I'm growing.
And it only took a fucking serial murder to fucking tone it down a bit, huh?
Ooh, all right, that was close. Jeffrey offered James $50 if he would come back to his home and allow Jeffrey to take nude photos of him. So he did it under the guise of just, hey, man, let's just take some fucking artsy-fartsy nude photos, even though you're 14. It's cool, bro. Yeah.
But he was a male prostitute, so that was in his business.
True. James accepted the offer. Dahmer and Doxtator had sex back in his grandmother's house, as nude photography often leads to sex, I'm sure, arousal and all that. But then, of course, Dahmer drugged him. He then strangled James to death in his cellar, or in his grandmother's cellar, and left the body in the cellar for 1 week. Now, as we will see with these stories, there's not a lot of not a lot of input from Granny Dahmer. I don't know what she's doing, if she's like invalid and doesn't go down to the cellar, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff going on in her house that she's unaware of that seems easy to catch.
Yeah, I think so too. And, like, I was just thinking about that of like, how the fuck does he do that around the grandmother? But maybe, I don't know. I don't think she was bedridden, but maybe just kind of ignorant and just liked her grandson a lot and just never suspected it. And maybe something smelled funny. She was just like, just kind of wrote it off like any of us would if you felt completely safe.
Yeah. So no intervention from grandma.
Yeah.
Would have been nice if we had it, but
Would have been nice. Yeah. But who knows?
So I guess the moral of the story is this whole thing is her fault.
Yep. We're just going to put the blame on somebody. It has to be her.
So after a week of James's body being in the cellar, Jeffrey dismembered the body like he did Tuomi's and disposed of the body parts in the same way as well, except for the head again. The head went through the same process, right? Boiling, bleaching, masturbating, too brittle, then into the trash it went. All over the course of about 2 weeks. So he boiled it and bleached it pretty quick, and then he kept it for about 2 weeks to kind of like jerk off with and stuff.
Right. As we'll see, is like we were saying, it's kind of his MO. He's literally killing people and turning them into sex objects. Like,
yeah,
that's his shtick at the moment.
Yeah. Not too long after Doxeter's murder on March 24th, 1988, Dahmer was at a gay bar called the Phoenix and met a bisexual man out front named Richard Guerrero. Yes. Exotic.
Yeah.
Jeffrey was able to lure Guerrero to his grandmother's home simply by offering him $50 for to stay the night with him. He was just like, "Hey, I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Here's $50."
And back then, that was not a bad deal.
Yeah, I was like, "Yo, shit, dude, yeah, we'll play some fucking Nintendo. Yeah, that sounds good, man."
Yeah, chill, easy night, and you're $50 richer.
But eventually in the night, Dahmer drugged him with hypnotics, strangled him to death with a leather strap, and then okay, I could have probably put this more eloquently in the outline, but again, I was drunk. The outline,
read it like is.
Okay.
You got to read it as is because it's like, I think it's a hilarious look back at your process.
So Dahmer drugged him with hypnotics, strangled him to death with a leather strap, and then sucked his dead dick.
Could have been more eloquently put indeed, but it gets the point across because that's what happened.
It's what happened. It's just I used layman's terms, right?
Exactly.
The dismemberment process was the same as before, but this time he did it within 24 hours of the murder instead of waiting a week.
Shit.
The disposal was the same as well. Everything went in the trash except for Guerrero's head, which was kept for longer than the other skulls had been. This time, it was several months before destroying and throwing out the skull instead of 2 weeks.
Okay. So with all these murders, are they happening in like 2 week periods, or is it just spread out in like a kind of like indiscernible pattern?
There's probably a pattern to see. So
he didn't like, because he didn't just like kill him, and then after he got rid of the body, he went right for the next one right after. Like maybe there was a little time in between.
There was some time there was some time in between. Yeah.
Okay. So it wasn't like one right after the other.
Yeah. So Tuomi from the hotel was November 1987. 2 months later was James, the Native American boy, and then March 24th, 1988. So that's another 2 months or so. That's when Guerrero was killed. So it's a little bit about 2 months or so in between each right now.
Yeah. Isn't there a thing like with serial killers called like Berserker, where it's like they're in that where they're just getting putting their body count up as much as possible?
Yes. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we're going to be getting to that next week or next episode on Jeffrey Dahmer.
Okay. So he's either way you look at it, no matter what term you give it, it's things are not good.
Not good because they're ramping up. He's solidified now. He's killed 1, 2, 3, 4 people at this point, I think.
Yeah, so he is a bona fide serial killer. That is now who he is.
Yeah. Okay. But it's interesting that you brought that up, though, because only about a month later, that same year, Dahmer had a close call. Okay, so one of couple close calls, in fact, as we'll see. He brought a young man over to his grandmother's house with the intention to kill him like the others. So there was only about a month in between looking for this victim.
Right.
However, after drugging the man, both of them heard Granny calling out, "Is that you, Jeff?"
Oh boy.
That's what she, like, in quotes. That was what she was like, "Yo, what's going on?" Jeffrey tried to answer in a way that gave the illusion that he was indeed alone, so that he could continue with the murder. But Granny saw the two men together, so of course he knew the jig was up, and he decided not to kill this man. And once he did regain consciousness from being drugged, Dahmer took him to the county general hospital instead of killing him.
Dude, that is lucky as fuck. So Granny is not the problem here. She saved a man's life.
That's true. She did one out of a lot, but it's better than none.
Not the best track record, but she, at least we know that if she did catch it, she wouldn't just let it skate by. Like, she was a reasonable person. I think she was just old and just kind of maybe just slept really heavy, and he just figured out her path. Because for as much of a piece of shit as he is, Jeffrey Dahmer is pretty fucking clever, and he could figure things out, and he could figure out the ways to get away from it. And this was just one of those times where it just didn't happen.
Yeah, definitely. He was definitely organized, man. I mean, we can see it in his dismemberment process. It was pretty damn thorough,
Right. So fuck, though. Lucky day for that guy, though.
Now we come to September of that same year. So after that close call, he took some time off.
Gotcha.
He took let's see, that was April to September of that year. So he took quite a few months off.
Yeah, took a relaxing summer off from fucking murder.
Yeah. Okay, now remember how I mentioned earlier that the relationship between Dahmer and his grandmother, it was like relatively harmonious,
Yeah, it was positive.
Well, this was unfortunately no longer the case, and Granny asked Jeff to move out mainly due to his destructive drinking habit, which was showing no signs of improvement, his tendency to bring home young men at late hours of the night, and the terrible smell that would occasionally come from the basement and garage.
So you gotta be more suspicious than that.
Yeah, you gotta be like, hey, what are you just farting down there all the time?
When somebody's there and there's a suspicious smell, that's like, like this, like, I don't know. And I could see her trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, because that's also too, this is also still the 80s and stuff like that. When something's weird, the first thing we don't think, because nowadays we have podcasts where we all talk about murderers all the time. And, anything weird happens, we're like, oh, I'm about to be fucking killed. But back then, I think it was a lot easier to just not even think that was even an option.
Right. Yeah, and especially in like Wisconsin, you're some old lady who's probably like super Christian. You're like, oh, he just needs Jesus, like he just needs Jesus and stop farting in the basement all the time. I don't know why she was Southern. She was,
yeah, yeah, but still, so he's finally getting the boot though.
He's getting the boot, man, and he did move out. He found a 1-bedroom apartment at 808 North 28th Street and was officially moved in on September 25th. So only 2 days after getting his new apartment, Jeffrey was arrested for drugging and molesting a 13-year-old boy who was lured to his home with the old money for nude photos scenario.
Damn. Well, at least they got caught, because that probably saved that kid's life, right?
Yes, I would say it did.
Fucking hell. 2 days.
He's like, I want to break free. He's got his own fucking apartment and...
Yeah, well, this is what he's always wanted. He's always wanted his space again. And now he's still working for the chocolate factory at this point. Is this how he can afford his apartment?
Yes, dude, this is the longest job he's ever had. Like, he's still working there. That's why I think he liked it, because otherwise he would not be there.
Yeah, night shift, just stirring shit, and nobody asked questions.
Yep. During this fiasco, Lionel hired a lawyer for Jeffrey named Gerald Boyle, and Boyle requested that Jeff undergo some psychological evaluations before his upcoming court hearing in order to help him in his case with the whole 13-year-old drugging and molesting thing.
Right.
A series of evaluations took place over the course of a few months, and here are the initial results. He had a strong feelings of alienation and isolation. He had impulse issues. He was highly untrusting of other individuals and was very distressed by his lack of accomplishment in life. Kind of just sounds like me, but like not on a murderous level.
Yeah, it sounds like something a lot more. That's a pretty common thing that I think a lot of people feel. Not that we're trying to empathize with him, but like I also feel like too, they weren't really. I think that more shows that they were not getting the full scope of his mental fucking problem.
Mm-hmm. But it should be mentioned that about a year or so prior. Now, I didn't get details on how this happened or why it happened, but a year or so prior, when Dahmer had to see a counselor or a clinician, he was actually diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder. And those traits in schizoid personality disorder, those signs or symptoms, align a little bit with what they came up with in the psychological assessment. So there's some consistency there.
Okay, all right. So they figured something out.
Yeah, but they didn't do anything about it. That's like they're like, yeah, he's got an issue, but yeah, fuck it,
Yeah, whatever, man.
It's the 80s.
It's not like he's killing anyone.
Yeah. Finally, on January 30th, 1989, Dahmer pled guilty to his charges of second-degree sexual assault and enticing a child for immoral purposes. Now, thanks to the good old U.S. justice system, sentencing was suspended until May of that year. Okay, so what is that? 5 months?
And he fucking pled guilty.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Now just have one last round. Make sure you get all your sillies out before you go into prison.
Ridiculous, dude.
Oh my God.
And you're right, because I hate to tell you guys, but between the court hearing and the sentencing dates, Dahmer was a very busy boy.
Oh, no.
He took a 10-day Easter leave from work at the chocolate factory and moved back in with his grandmother under the guise of, hey, I'm in this tight spot. I don't, I got to move back in. Yeah. So 2 months after the hearing and 2 months before the sentencing was to take place, Dahmer obtained his next and fifth victim. A young mixed-race man named Anthony Sears, 24 years old, was an aspiring model.
Oh, shit. We're mixed-raced. That's frightening.
He went more... Dahmer really liked darker skin. He liked dark skin, smooth skin. So he would go for like African-American. He would go for Filipino, mixed race. So he liked darker tones. We would have been safe.
Oh, yeah. See how I kind of...
And we're both hairy.
Yeah, that's true. That also helps because see how like my skin like kind of like looks like a corpse on here on camera.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the lighting. I think it's just because I haven't seen sunlight in fucking a really long time.
On March 25th, 1989, Dahmer met Sears at a bar. Initially, on his night out, Dahmer said he had no intention of committing a murder, but we know how this goes.
Yeah.
Near closing time, Sears began talking with Jeffrey, and a switch flipped inside of him. He lured Sears back to his grandmother's house, and the cycle we have become so familiar with, unfortunately, had begun.
Yeah.
However, this time, the two men had consensual oral sex before, Dahmer drugged and strangled him to death.
Jeez. Well, silver lining, question mark? Emphasis on the question mark, because the answer is probably no.
So something different also occurred in the post-murder process here. It would be the first time that Dahmer permanently kept pieces of his victim. Sears's body was placed in his grandmother's bathtub, in which he decapitated the body, flayed the flesh from his bones, and went through the same process of cutting up the flesh into little pieces and crushing the bones and then throwing away the remains into the garbage. The difference here is that Dahmer actually kept and preserved Sears's head and genitals in acetone. He then would store them in a wooden box and keep them in secret.
Well, see, now we've gone from Guy with weird urges trying to repress it. Guy no longer repressing urges. Guy taking these urges too far into a point of no return. And now we're hitting that extreme of like just there's not a hint of like empathy, sympathy, or understanding. He just keeps going.
And so as far as keeping those body parts in that wooden box, yes, he would move out again, which we'll talk about later. But he did take the body parts with him. So now he's starting to collect things permanently. He's still his base process is still the same, but he's now expanding. He's exploring different things that he could do with the bodies, and he's just one creative guy, you know?
Oh yeah, well, and a lot of it's because he just keeps getting fucking away with it. Like it's insane how much he's gotten away with. And it's like, you know, he's a clever dude, but also at the same time, it just seems like almost like I'm kind of like, how the fuck is he just like failing upward with this?
I think we have to keep in mind the context. So, like we've been talking about and joking about, Wisconsin in the 80s, not the most sympathetic towards the gay community, right? And I feel like I feel like either they're under the radar or there's a blind eye being turned toward it or something that is leading to that, you know?
Oh yeah, because now, like you were saying, a lot of them tend to be non-white and are also gay. So gay, non-white young men in Wisconsin, not a lot of people. It's so sad to say it like this, but not a lot of people miss them.
Yep, it's unfortunate, man, but it's the truth, and that, you know, Dahmer just kind of lucked out that his type happened to be also the ones that people weren't looking for when they went missing.
Shit. So it's like, so if he was going for like, you know, like young white women, he probably would have been caught within the week and they would have thrown his ass behind bars and a lot of lives could be saved. But it's just, that's so fucked and so sad.
Yeah, it's sad, man.
Christ.
Now, eventually, finally, after months of waiting, his sentencing for his previous sexual assault on the 13-year-old boy came around. And on May 23rd, 1989, Dahmer was sentenced to 5 years of probation and 1 year in the House of Correction. Now, I thought that was just a term for prison. I looked it up. It's not. House of Correction is what I would call a baby prison. Basically, where they put you in there, it's not very intense, and it's more for like preparing you or trying to change your behaviors. Being like, hey, if you fuck up again, you're going to go to prison. Like you're going to go to real prison, but you're still locked down, but it's not like, you know, it's a hard knock life and you're not getting raped in the showers. You know what I mean?
Must have had a good lawyer, because that is a fucking slap on the wrist for what he did.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God.
So, and he did also, because it was like, you know, a House of Correction, he was granted work release from the House of Correction in order to keep his job at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory. He would just have to come back after his shift and stuff.
Jeez. Too easy. Got off way too easy.
Yeah. And finally, his last piece of his sentence was, of course, he had to register as a sex offender.
He should have been a sex offender since the jerking off in front of kids incident.
Yeah, I don't know how that slipped out, but fucking something happened.
How that fell through the cracks. What the fuck?
So 2 months before his release date, he was paroled because he sent a letter of he sent a letter pleading for leniency, and they abided. So he was paroled 2 months early and was allowed to walk. And this was the point at which his 5-year probation began.
So all he had to do was just report to his probation officer, but more or less, he has free reign to do whatever he wants again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he just kept slipping through the cracks, man. Just kept slipping through the justice system, because we also have to take into account there's a lot of criticism even nowadays for, of course, the U.S. justice system. But even back then, those biases were explicit, the biases towards the people of color and the gay community. So they didn't give a shit if, like, you know, I'm assuming the 13-year-old boy he molested was maybe a gay or of color or both. And they're like, you know, those biases slept through. And then that's what we get. Now we get light sentencing, and we get we get him coming back to the streets time and time again.
Oh, yeah. And he's just like a white dude. Like, the easiest way to get out of fucking anything, like in America and in Wisconsin of all places. So it just, like you said, it was this perfect, this whole story is this weird, perfect storm. Because shit like this, as we come to know, does not happen ever. Like Jeffrey Dahmer is like the one in a million, like fell through all the right holes to end up into becoming what he became. But like most of the time it doesn't come to this. And it's almost just like astonishing to see how much luck is actually involved in the story.
Yeah, and next episode on Jeffrey Dahmer, we will see a story that is just devastating, and it's a accurate but terrible reflection of the law enforcement's mentality at the time. But we'll get there next time.
Ah, shit.
So, upon his release, he temporarily moved back in with Granny, but in May of 1990, he found a vacant apartment at the Oxford Apartments in Milwaukee, located on North 25th Street. Okay. This is his famous apartment complex.
Yeah, it's the one that, if you know anything about true crime, when you heard that name, you're probably like, oh, here we go.
Here we go. Now, Oxford Apartments sounds fancy, right? Well, definitely weren't. It was in a very high crime, poverty-ridden area, but it was very cheap. It included all of the utility bills and the rent for like $300 a month, excluding electricity. And it was very close to his job at the chocolate factory, so he took it up.
Well, as a criminal, that kind of makes sense that he would go to a high crime neighborhood.
Amen. Amen. And now this is where we begin the next chapter of Jeffrey's life. His life at 924 North 25th Street in Oxford Apartments, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So he officially moved into his new apartment on May 14th, 1990. And yes, as mentioned before, he took Sears's remains with him that were in the wooden box. Within only the first week of his new living situation, Dahmer committed his next and sixth murder.
Jeez.
Raymond Smith, a 32-year-old male prostitute, was brought back to Dahmer's house with a proposition of $50 for sex. Once there, Dahmer gave Smith a drugged drink and strangled him to death, as we have seen many times before. Now, the incidents that happened next are new in Dahmer's pattern, and it can probably be attributed to his sense of independence and the fact that Granny wasn't going to walk in on him doing anything, right? There was no rush, so he had more time to explore and, do what he wanted with the body. So, the next day, after he had killed Smith, Dahmer bought a Polaroid camera and decided to have a photo shoot with the corpse being placed in sexually suggestive positions. All right, like some kind of okay, I was gonna make a joke, but I don't know any famous photographers, so
yeah, neither do I.
Okay,
but probably not the best time to joke, anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Okay,
yeah, that's we always. I love that we keep reminding each other these are real people. This actually happened.
So he then dismembered Smith's body in the bathroom. He then boiled the arms, legs, and pelvis in a kettle full of Soilex in order to strip the flesh. Jeffrey then dissolved the remainder of the skeleton in a big drum of acid. Okay, now this was his new thing. So he went out and got these big blue. You guys have probably seen these at motor shops or garages or whatever. These big giant drums. These are like blue ones. He got a couple of them, but he filled them with acid, right? And he would put skeletons in there to completely get rid of evidence.
Yeah, they did that in Breaking Bad a lot. So if any of you guys have seen that show, he did that, but in real life.
In real life. So the skeleton went in there to be dissolved, but of course, Jeffrey kept the head.
Mm.
Finally, he spray painted Smith's skull. Didn't say what color, so I don't know what color and I don't know why I'm curious, but I'm wondering what color he went with, Maybe like a gold. I don't know. Was he feeling Aztec or what?
Yeah, it's and the creepy part is now he's getting decorative about it. Now he's turning into arts and craftsy, where it's just such a disregard for human life and the respect for another human being that these are objects to me. That's what this is saying, to the point where he's just he's treating them like a fucking, like I said, like a craft project.
Yeah, man. So he did spray paint Smith's skull and he added it to his collection along with Sears' skull. Now, only 1 week or so after murdering Raymond Smith, Dahmer moved on to another victim. So we are starting to ramp up a little bit to that just like crazy urge, that desire to just continue with what he's doing because he's getting so much satisfaction out of it that he's not taking months at a time anymore. It's now like a week or two max in between.
And it's easier to get away with it now than it ever has been. And there comes that point that I think he hit where it's just like, well, why shouldn't I then? Like, the only thing keeping me from doing this every fucking day is me. And I think when that dawned on him, he was like, you know what? I'm right, me. And just here we go.
Yeah. So he went through the same process as before for this victim, luring a young man back to his apartment in order to kill him in his usual way. However, like out of a Benny Hill sketch, Jeff Dunn goofed and did the old switcheroo on himself with the drugged alcoholic beverage.
Oh my fucking God, you fuck. Oh my God. He drank. They fucking did the old switch cups on him, huh?
It was like that scene in Princess Bride, where they're like, hey, which one has the poison in it? But he just didn't, he just fucking, what? How do you mix that up?
Yeah, that's a fucking blunder. And well, he was probably wasted drunk while he did it. So
yeah, that's true.
But well, and as we come to find out, because I was going to say what a fucking dumbass, but actually we're glad he fucked up because this dude gets to live another day.
Yeah, and not only that, but so he drank the lace drink by himself, by accident, of course. And when he woke up, he found that the guy he brought home had stolen some of his shit, right? Clothes, $300 in cash, and a watch. So he played himself.
And you would think, finally getting a taste of your own medicine, literally, that'd be maybe that's not good. Maybe now that I know what it feels like, maybe, but that's the problem when you're a serial killer. You don't have that.
Yeah, that's a rational person would do that. A person with no mental disorders would do that. But Jeffrey would be like, oh, so that's what it feels like. Cool. And be like, all right, let's keep doing that.
Yep.
In June of 1990, Jeffrey lured an acquaintance to his apartment named Edward Smith, a 27-year-old man. Naturally, he drugged and then strangled Edward to death as he had before. This time, though, post-death, Dahmer wanted to try something new. So after flaying the flesh and bleaching the skeleton, he decided to put the skeleton into his freezer for many months because he wanted to keep it this time. He wanted to keep the whole skeleton. And the reason he put it into the freezer was he was trying to remove moisture. Okay. Now, unfortunately for Dahmer, that's not what happens when you freeze liquids, right? It just preserves the liquid. Like, what are you doing, man?
That's a major logic error right there.
And so the moisture in the skeleton remained, of course, and just thawed out when taken out of the freezer. So after finding this out the hard way, he took the skeleton except for the skull and dissolved it in his acid tub. He took the skull and attempted to dry it out in the oven so that he could add it to his collection. But I think there was too many chemical reactions going on in that skeleton, first being frozen, being thawed out, being thrown in a hot oven because he wanted to dry out the skull in the oven, but all these different changes in temperature just caused the skull to explode. So so he fucked that up, and so he was unable to add this skull to his collection, and this made him feel quote unquote rotten about this murder, as he would later tell police, because he could not keep a body part of his victim in this case, and that made him sad.
Wow. Because I was going to say is that like a lot of it he went through, because he goes through all the work of doing this to, at this point now, it's take a little bit of a trophy or whatever you want to fucking call it. But so now it's just like now when he does it's not the act of murdering that's making him like thrilled about it. To him, it's almost like murder is the means to the end of what he actually wants. And when he kills somebody and he doesn't get the thing that he was killing to get, he's just fucking pissed off because he did all that work for nothing.
Totally. Yeah. He was not into the kill. Like, he didn't revel in the kill at all. He got it over with pretty quick.
Just like the dead body that came afterwards.
Totally. And, taking these body parts, people have said that it could be attributed to his isolation. And we're not talking about like, oh, I'm sad and, I feel lonely today, like when people on this level have, what's the word? People on this level have such exaggerated traits that we would try and think of, but we can't comprehend it because it's so distressing to their everyday life that he's literally keeping these pieces of these body parts because he's lonely, and he knows that when he has sex with these guys, eventually they're going to leave. And what was the first murder he did, and what set off that first murder when the guy wanted to fucking leave?
That's so fucking weird and crazy. Well, yeah, because it's like, and it's just this weird mixture of, it is a simple tale of loneliness and somebody trying to fill that void. But his thing is, I don't trust that people are going to stick with me. So, but he found out that the only 100% way for them to not leave him is to kill them. And because you can't do anything anymore because you're dead. And just this weird twist and how, like, oh man, it's just what a disturbing look into like what all this horrible shit. It was just, that's the only glimmer of humanity in this whole thing.
Yeah, this is like worst case scenario when looking at human psyche. This is like bad news bears, man. And
yeah,
it's sad. I'm not what I obviously no sympathy towards Jeffrey. Like, I understand that he could have been helped at multiple points. And I know there were multiple points where he would try not to do any of this shit. But at a certain point, you're like, dude, you could have helped yourself. You could have at least looked for help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You could have not fucking killed. What are we at? 7 now?
Yeah, 7th. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, shit. So 7 people are now dead. There comes a point of, I know we're trying to like kind of analyze it and try to like understand what's going on, but like there is a level of fucking accountability here where, boo fucking who, I'm sad and lonely. Well, guess what? Now there's 7 people who will never fucking live the rest of their lives, and probably do have people that miss them, and a bunch of it's a terrible thing. And like you said, I think it was a good way of putting it. This is a fucking absolute worst case scenario type situation where it's just it's a weird. There was a way of explaining how hard it is to make if you have like a show for like to make into a TV show to get picked up by a network. They say that the statistical chance of actually having that happen is like getting a marble and just lining up a bunch of like squares of Swiss cheese and dropping that marble and having it fall through every single hole through the bottom. Like those are the chances of your show getting made into an actual thing with all the different like layers and networks. So with Jeffrey Dahmer, that marble just went through every single fucking hole. It just the momentum never stopped, and nothing, like there could have been so many things that could have like kept this from happening, but it just, the powers that be let it happen.
Yeah, it's a good way you put that too, because look at the possible causes of what's going on here. Obvious genetic predisposition to not only substance abuse disorders, but to like mental disorders that cause personality issues. Right. Situational and environmental stuff where, he at a very young, impressionable age found interest in the inside workings of animals and body parts. Not good. Mm-hmm. And then of course the eventual alcohol use, and then, feelings of isolation and neglect in childhood, leading to like looking for attention and feeling like nobody wants to be with you.
Right.
Nobody's not being stopped for prolonged periods of time by the law because the law sucked back, at the time, apparently. Everything lined up, and it's a terrible, perfect concoction. And that is what we get in Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. And that's kind of half of what makes the tale so compelling and why it's still talked about this day, is because of just the almost extraordinary nature of how the fuck did he get away with this for so long? How the fuck did it get so bad that now he's, keeping body parts and stuff like that? And I bet, and I can only imagine, because we are shocked now. I can only imagine being the cop that figured that shit out. And like when that thing, like, when the news broke, that's why it's so extreme. And that's why it's just considered to be one of the more legendary cases.
Yes. And we will talk about that on the final third part for Jeffrey Dahmer. We're going to talk about, the trial, what happened when he was arrested, because it was all over the news. It was the early 90s, man. News was very accessible to people. You know, it wasn't like earlier serial killers where we don't have a lot of clips from that kind of stuff. It was all over the place. You can see clips of the detective who first interrogated Jeffrey online on YouTube in depth. It's crazy.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be a wild ride next episode for sure.
Oh yeah, if it wasn't already, but holy shit. So good job for making it all the way here, everybody who's been listening.
Yeah, congratulations. If you had any genital wiggles during the entire episode, please go see a mental health professional. That would be really good to catch that shit early, you know?
We could also say too, we're by doing the Jeffrey Dahmer episodes during November, it's a bit of we're doing our part in No Nut November of like doing the least like you know, if you were having trouble, you know, keeping your hand off of your junk, we hope this helped. And if it didn't help and made it worse, well, maybe that's helpful. And, you know, maybe you figuring out that you might need a little extra help in your life.
Yeah. Don't fall into this trap that he fell into. Get some help, get some intervention. Listen to your support system. You know, your family loves you. So
exactly. And there's a lot of other people whose family loves them. So let's let them live, please.
Please.
Oh, holy shit. That was dark.
Yeah. Good times, huh?
Good Lord Almighty. Like I said, we are doing our best to kind of like, you know, keep in mind and give respect to the victims where they're deserved, but also we're only human. We have our own ways of coping. So if you ever felt we were inappropriate at some point, well, like let's see you try it.
Yeah, I held back so many things I wanted to say that came to mind. You guys don't even know. And I did it because we are dealing with real people who have lost their lives. But, you know, I had some bangers. But whatever, it's too late now. I can't just like go back and say, oh, this is what, you know, then it wouldn't be funny. Then I'd just look like a dickhead, you know?
Right. Well, and also too, I think it is good that we're going into like, you know, major, like actual like killers and all this stuff, because when the time comes to do the Count Chocula episode, it'll be, we now kind of have more of a format because Count Chocula, there's just like with all the stuff, this is a very real thing. And we need to have that balance of respect, but also like, you know, a little bit of jokes, a little bit of coping now and again to make it more palatable and make sense, because with Count Chocula, it's one you're not going to want to miss. And we need to make sure like people watch the whole thing, because if it's just, because a lot of it's hard facts and that gets really kind of stale. So, you know, you got to pepper it up a little bit. Yeah.
And I'm kind of hoping that by doing these, you know, larger serial killer episodes, that maybe we can try and look for similarities between, you know, their patterns and their upbringing, and maybe Count Chocula. Maybe we can see if there's a similarity in the way that they think, their thought processes, their emotions, you know?
Yeah.
And because he's kind of, I wouldn't put it past him to behave in the exact same manner as Jeffrey Dahmer at that river, just jerking off in front of a bunch of kids, you know, saying he's Count Chocula. He thinks he can get away with it because kids love his cereal. Haha. It's not a joke.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's very real shit. And, you know, there could be some correlation that could help us out in the future. So, you know, it's everything for a reason. It's all should be ramping up. So Count Chocula episode, obviously still in the works. We'll get that out as soon as it's ready. And it'll just be great for, I think, the humanity as a species. But if you are listening on iTunes, you could 5-star rate and review. That'd be super dang helpful. Spotify, if you click follow, you get updated to our new episodes that come out every single Wednesday. Instagram is at CEOTPK. YouTube is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. Our Twitter is at CEOTPK1. Our TikTok is at CEOTPK. You can check us out on Facebook for all these links, so you don't have to type them out or anything. Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind, or Facebook.com/CEOTPK. Again, all these links are right there, so you don't have to type it out or anything. Email us at ceotpk1@gmail.com. Our Discord is discord.gg/lowercase b, number 6, capital C, capital T, number 5, capital M, capital X. You feel the need to donate, we have a ko-fi.com/ceotpk. We will accept whatever you want if you feel the need. If you want us to say something or a shout out on the show, feel free to type it in the comment there, and we'll make sure to give you your money's worth.
Yeah, guys. Got a couple of followers on Coffee lately. Appreciate that. Didn't know you could follow people on Coffee. I didn't know it was like a thing like that. That's cool.
Yeah, geez.
So yeah, thanks for checking it out. stay tuned. So next episode, we're still playing around with this kickback episode, like intra episode weekly thing. So next week we'll have another kickback, shoot the shit. The following week, though, we will be concluding Jeffrey Dahmer with part 3. It's going to be crazy, so stay tuned for that. Looking forward to it, and hope you guys like this one.
Yeah, hope it's enjoyable. Hope you guys can enjoy the kickback episodes. Like we said, it's very, very challenging right now to do the show. So we hope you guys can at least have a little fun, a little something to listen to, and maybe have a chuckle while we get these more full-blown research-heavy stuff out. So hope you're enjoying it, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.
Yeah, and look, whether you think that bathhouses are inherently gay or if only like half of them are gay, the truth is out there.
And despite your opinion, you got to take a look at yourself. Like, am I actually like, trying to do something factual, or am I just a white knight bitch? It's not. I had one of my mom's cookies, and I thought one of the chocolate chips had fallen out. So I was like, oh, and I went to go pick it up and, pop it in and bite it. And it was a coffee bean. That was not a chocolate chip. That was weird.
Oh, Jesus, that sucks.
Yeah. Well, and also too, when you have something that's not supposed to be crunchy and ends up being crunchy, there's like an immediate like visceral response of like, what have I done?